Downtown Delray Beach does it again. Its fourth fabulous fashion week begins Wednesday, January 25th. The 5-day annual event highlights local designers and fashion outlets. This year, it includes runway shows, a designer showcase, a luncheon, a stiletto race, and a boutique shopping opportunity. To discover the details of this spectacular work, we're talking with several of our favorite fashionistas. For a complete schedule of events, visit their website at downtowndelraybeach.com. If you've got a passion for fashion, be there. I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. The show today has me very excited because it's in my hometown. I love fashion. Do you? Delray Fashion Week is coming up in a few days, and it's a really special event. Not only do we have Laura L. Simon, who's the Executive Director of Downtown Delray Beach Development Authority, but several other businesswomen who are featured in the show. Now, Laura Simon joined the organization in 2010 as the Associate Director and has led the organization through the rebranding efforts, and in the process has created award-winning marketing campaigns and events. Now, I want to welcome to the show Laura Simon.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Pleasure. Now, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about your mission. I'm going to read something and then add to it, if you will. So the mission of the Downtown Development Association stimulates, enhances, and sustains the economic vitality of downtown Delray Beach and the quality of life enjoyed by locals and visitors. Now, the Downtown Development Association, when did it start, and how did it get its mission? Where did that come from?
Yes, well, the Downtown Development Authority, actually we're a DDA, we're state mandated, as we have actually a House bill. We were produced by local property owners and business owners within Delray Beach in 1971. Started actually putting the process together in 1968 by going to other communities who had created DDAs, Downtown Development Authorities, with the state, learning how they did it, and actually went to the state, went through the process, created a House bill, and actually had to vote to be taxed to create this authority. And the authority itself is fulfilled by a 1 mil tax that is placed onto the properties within the district, within the boundaries. And since 1971, our boundaries have grown tremendously from being in a 4-block radius on Atlantic Avenue to now from I-95 to A1A and then 4 blocks in the core. So we've grown quite a bit over the years in many, many ways, but it has all been done by actually the property owners selecting and voting to be taxed, that they knew that this money was going to stay within the boundaries and within the district. So all went in to be reinvested back into making downtown a great place to be, to work, to thrive, and to be the heart and the pulse of our great city.
Now, Laura, it's very interesting that this particular town in the middle of so many other towns has become so alive, so interesting, and it seems that people from all over Florida, they come here. Now, why is that? I mean, what sets you apart?
Well, it is interesting, and it actually has been one of those. We're a gem. We're a gem, I believe, and as being a native of Delray Beach, I have a little bit more of that to share, and feel more passionate about it probably than most, because I've seen it for a very long time, and how and my family's been here for over 100 years, and how back then this was the place to be, the land boom and the location within South Florida made it such a place to come from the north and northeast, northwest, to be in this beautiful sunshine state, and it just drew people from all over. But as over the years, it's still kind of maintained that spirit, that character, and the historic feel that really gives it a beach town, small town place with a big city vibe, but still there's a place where you can, have fun, have the greatest cuisine you've ever wanted, find designer clothes, but yet walk around in flip-flops and T-shirts and just be yourself and not have to worry about that feeling, but just enjoy what's your surroundings and the people that are here that make Delray special.
Let's talk about the fashion show. The fashion show is coming up January 25th, and it's been around for about 4 years now. Why did you create such an event?
Well, about 4 years ago, we were looking at ways to really showcase our retail and fashion apparel that had really notably changed and had been changing over the past several years, but really bring that awareness. We have over 600 businesses within our downtown, and about 120 of them are our retail in our retail community. And then narrowing that down more is we have over close to 70 fashion boutiques and different fashion retailers here. While they all don't participate in Fashion Week, we do primarily our small businesses that are about 40 of them that are participating this year, and then our beauty and wellness industry, which is huge and within the downtown. This is a great way to showcase that style and beauty because our hair salons and stylists donate their time to make all of our models look beautiful, showcase their talents and their art that they have as in the beauty industry. So it gives us an opportunity as the DDA that is focused on driving awareness to our business community and driving customers here, that way of showcasing them and putting them on, taking our businesses and putting them out in front of customers that might not know that they're here. Yeah. And they might be in Pineapple Grove or up on the beach or just on West Atlantic somewhere that in a little niche that no one would ever know unless we now are bringing them to actually the forefront and putting them on stage and recognizing each individual business.
Let's talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the fashion show. I've seen it, and I think it's really great because you see so many people walk out in different kinds of clothes and different kinds of outfits, all kinds of makeup and various kinds of other things. And it's such a beautiful and exciting and interesting kind of show. Now, what makes it, in your opinion, unique?
Well, I think the uniqueness comes from the diversity of our businesses that are showcased. We have, Downtown Delray, as we've talked over this time, is that we have a broad range of customers and broad range of people that are here from, the young, the vibrant, the laid back, the sophisticated, and we have such a diverse style here that in these shows, while we're showing evening in downtown and evening wear, but that means something to everyone differently. So, and then each business carries something that is representative of a different style of evening wear. So now you're seeing all of that on stage on a beautiful model or a handsome model that is, showcasing that to an audience that is anywhere from 8 years old to 80 years old, and they're all enjoying this time, and they know that actually, wow, I can go get that tomorrow if I really like it because it's available in store. It's not coming out next spring, Right. That's the difference because you can purchase it right off the runway and available right in our downtown, right around the block, and you don't have to drive somewhere. You don't have to order it. You can get it right away, and that makes it different. And that's what the purpose is for this event, is really to bring our retail owners, our models or volunteers from sometimes the different restaurants or different fitness centers, so they get to know the audience and the audience gets to know them. So it's a community event for the community by the community. And the best part about it is it's not only driving awareness to our businesses, it's driving all the proceeds go to our local charity of the Achievement Center for Children and Families. So this is a win for all of them, and they all work together to really make the dollars stay within the community and know that this is it's not a for-profit event. It's a for charity event, and that's the really feel good about it because our businesses love that part of it and really want to to share that with their customers to be able to give back to those children that are out there.
That is very admirable. Now, I want to know what is new for Delray Fashion Week. So let's give our audience a little tease, if you will.
Okay.
And tell them what is really different this year.
Well, this year we're excited to bring a little bit of a different mix to our opening show. We have first we've closed or shortened up the week and made it a 5-day event. So it's Wednesday. It starts with our evening wear show right on Atlantic Avenue in front of the Colony Hotel. And we're also incorporating several of our local artists, owners of galleries and artists themselves that are going to be located right on a tent on Atlantic Avenue between the 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue within the footprint of the event, showcasing their talent and their art that they have on display, available to purchase and just available just to interact with the artist. So it's a way of us actually being able to highlight a different business that's in our community on a different talent, but it's still in that same art and fashion industry. And they'll be out there on the 25th. And that night we're also incorporating, we have a new business within the downtown. It's the Fred Astaire Dance Studio. They just opened up in November, so they're going to give a little show of their talent and give them the opportunity to showcase their business. But it'll be great to have kind of that fun ballroom dancing evening event in downtown for the 25th, and that's going to be a fun night. And our theme is fashion passion, so we're really going to be colorful and bright and beautiful that evening. And that night we're also giving the hair salons the opportunity to showcase their evening updos and evening wear hair. So giving them a special time just to be showcased and feature what they do best.
This little town is offering so many wonderful things, and I want you to let the people in our audience know a little bit about this event, and what is your website, and tell us how people can speak to you and all of the social media that you use.
Perfect. Well, we for the Fashion Week event, so the week does go every night. We have our local designers will be featured on the Thursday evening at a special showing for designers that actually have retail stores, but they also design their own clothing line. So they'll be featured in a special night on Thursday, followed by Friday we have a luncheon event, and Saturday is our swim and surf show, and followed by our Fashion Week Boutique, where it's a shopping event. That's new this year, and that is on Sunday the 29th at the Field House at Old School Square. And again, one other kind of cool feature about our Fashion Week that I didn't mention is that we spread the events all around the community to showcase different parts of our community. And that is a different feature versus keeping it in one specific venue. So to find out more about our events and the details and to purchase tickets that go towards the charity, DelrayFashionWeek.com is the website. So please, that has all the information, has all of the opportunities for ticket purchase or just to find out who's involved in the show. And we have some great sponsors this year that help us produce this event so that we can actually donate to the charity. And it's a great opportunity for all of us to give back and be a part of Delray Beach.
Well, one of the things that I also know about you is that you have goals, and I'm talking about vitality, and you want to grow. You want to create a supportive business environment and harness local economic opportunity. That is really special, and I want to thank you, Laura Simon, for being on the Susan Brender Show. I'm sure that people are going to just wow when they see that fashion show, and I think it's a wonderful thing. So thank you very much for being on my show, Laura Simon.
Thank you, Susan, and we look forward to seeing everybody downtown.
You got it. Our next guest coming up is a very fascinating person. I am very pleased today to have a woman who owns a store in downtown Delray, Stephanie Grenario, a person who happens to be a very innovative, exciting fashionista. She owns a store called Oh My Bod. It's the love of fashion and fitness that came together organically, starting back in a bedroom in the 90s. After graduating from the University of South Florida with a BS in accounting, owner Stephanie Granario decided to chase her dreams of being a fashion designer and return to school for her second degree in fashion design. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
I'm fine. And, I'm very excited about what's going on in downtown Delray. It seems like it's such a wonderful and very exciting town in the United States. I know it won an award for being one of the best towns or entertaining towns in the United States, and there's a reason. And I want you to describe what it's like to have a shop in downtown Delray Beach, Florida.
Well, I'll tell you what, Susan, it really, truly is a unique place. Delray Beach, I originally opened my store about 15 years ago in Delray, and I've seen it grow tremendously. There has been so many eclectic shops and tons of dining, different types of stores, mom and pop shops. It's just such a unique place. The people are wonderful, an eclectic mix of people. There's truly not very many places in the entire U.S. like it.
Yeah. So what do you attribute to that? Because everybody loves to go to towns or live in towns that have all these different things available to them. But why Delray Beach? What happened? What was the process of it becoming such a wonderful town?
I definitely think that the town got very involved. The developmental agencies and Laura Simon and all of the people behind Delray Beach really did such a great job of bringing different events to the city, bringing different stores to the city and restaurants and nightlife. And it became just a hot spot. It became right on the map, and it became a destination place. I think it's attributed to many different reasons, but definitely for sure a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, let's talk a little about Oh My Bod. First of all, it's a great name. And how did you come up with it?
Thank you. Yes, actually, the name gets quite a lot of attention. I came up with the name. I was working for a fashion designer when I was in my early 20s, going back to school, returning to school after my first degree, and I came across a name called Oh My Good Knit, which was a knit company we worked with, and it just stuck with me. I said, what a cute name, and it just stuck with me. And then a few years later, when I was getting ready to name my fitness line, which that's how Oh My Bod started, it just popped right in my head, and I said, oh, this is the name. And it really is tremendous. I got the name trademarked, and it just really has gained a lot of attention, that name.
I'm sure. Now, let's talk a little bit about what it's like to be an entrepreneur and a designer of clothes, because it's a rough world out there, and the competition is absolutely fierce. So there must be a reason that your store has been able to succumb to all the competition. So let's hear a little bit more about that.
Okay, sure. Well, first of all, I do something probably not very many people are doing anymore, and that is handmade clothing, cut and sewn in the USA, small lot production. Even these other designers are probably doing a lot of things that are outsourced to other countries, and everyone I speak to, no one really is doing what I'm doing anymore. Probably very few people, but I do know there is a return to manufacturing in the U.S., and it's coming about. But people are really, truly appreciating that. And the quality of my clothing, you can ask any of my customers. They've had pants for 10 years that they're still wearing. The quality is amazing. So I think that's definitely something that differentiates me from many of the other people and even the other designers out there.
Stephanie, you say that there's an inspiration in your designs. Where does that inspiration come from? Is it because you have traveled all over the world and seen different designs and colors that inspired your taste for what you create now? Tell our audience who came up with these. Do you have an art background? Do you have a creative side to you? What is it?
Well, I really believe that it truly is a gift. All of us have gifts, and some people can look at something and put it on a canvas, and it's art. For some reason, God made me
able to have a wonderful, design eye. And I really am inspired by fabric. I can shop with fabrics, and I just get a beautiful sense of what that fabric should turn into. So my favorite thing to do is actually going fabric shopping and being inspired by prints, which is one of my fortes, is working with print. And I absolutely just can turn something that might even look like an ugly print into something gorgeous.
Oh, that's fabulous. Now, if somebody comes into your store and said, I was in, say, Vietnam, I was in Thailand, I was in South America, and I saw these really interesting designs, are you able to design something very special for them? Is it possible to get your own one-of-a-kind thing?
It is possible, but right now I am extremely busy with 2 stores in Delray and a 7-year-old, so you can imagine my time is very limited. I do love creating custom designs for people, but unfortunately I'm spread a little thin right now, and that's about all the time I have to do.
Well, one could appreciate that. Now, let's go just back to that whole notion of being an entrepreneur. So if I was interested in opening a store, what are the things that I have to know? Do I have to do something that is unusual or something that's very difficult? What is it like to start a business?
Well, I'll tell you, it is not easy, but I've always had the desire to own my own business. Even as a small child, I would find any way, sell something that was in my house or sell lemonade, whatever it was. I just have that entrepreneurial spirit. And again, we all have gifts, and this happens to be one of my gifts, just creating businesses, because I have other little spin-offs of my Oh My Bod business with other things that I do. But it's a lot of hard work, and it's also just determination and never giving up, because I could have easily closed probably a few times just because of, the hard times of the economy, or, you move a retail location. It's just something that I just keep going, and I never give up.
So you know how to make lemons into lemonade is what you're saying.
That's right.
Okay. Now, the last question that I have for you is, if you were to tell our audience again about Oh My Bod, give me a little slogan that you want them to think about, so that when they come to downtown Delray Beach, they're going to just drop right into Oh My Bod.
Oh My Bod truly is a one-of-a-kind store. We not only create beautiful clothing for almost every age range, we have a lot of love and caring for our customers. We really do truly want our customers to be happy with the clothing. So we do offer free alterations for any purchase, which means free hemming, and even if it needs to be taken in, we will do that for our customers. So customer service, great clothing, and great place to shop at.
That's wonderful. So my guest today has been Stephanie Granario, who has opened up a store called Oh My Bod in downtown Delray Beach, and she is an inspiration to all kinds of people who are interested in opening a business and being very creative. I want to thank you for being on our show, and looking forward to the Fashion Week. And that's the last thing. Tell the audience, last but not least, I keep on saying that, when is the fashion show, and what is your time in it? Are you going up, are you going to be the first or the last, or where are you going to be on the roster of all the shops?
Well, the show starts Wednesday the 25th, I believe it is, and it runs all the way through Saturday night, and then Sunday they do have a little shopping area. And I will be participating in every show. We have something Wednesday night, which is the opening, and that's going to be in the Colony Hotel. I'm not really sure of the lineup yet, because sometimes they change things last minute, because there's quite a few boutiques going to be in the downtown area. So we have that show. The Thursday is going to be only the designers of Delray Beach. I think there's 8 of us. That's an exclusive show, which is like a private show you can buy tickets for. Everything else is free to the public, which you also may buy tickets to get seating, special seating. But everything else is free to the public. Then there's, Friday, I believe, is the luncheon show. And then Saturday night is going to be the swimwear show in the evening. And then, as I said, Sunday there's going to be shopping.
Wonderful. Okay, so my guest today, again, has been a very interesting guest, and her name is Stephanie Granero. And I want to thank you, Stephanie, for being on the Susan Brender Show, and I look forward to participating in my way with the fashion show. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine. And coming up now is a unique fashion designer, a Haitian descendant from West Palm Beach, Florida. Her name is Glavidia Alexis. Now, she knew as a child that she was destined for high fashion and the beauty of the arts. Glavidia's mother was an artisan, inspired her to be an artist, finding beauty in unique textures and color patterns. Now, we're going to continue talking about Glavidia, but I want to introduce her to my show. So welcome to the Susan Brender Show, Glavidia Alexis.
Hi, thank you for having me, Susan. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. One of the things that I find very interesting is that when people have come from a different country, in your case it happens to be Haiti, and, interesting enough, Haiti produces a lot of it almost seems like African prints. Now, is there a reason why that is the case, and if so, are you doing that as well?
Yes, I can see why a lot of the fashion in Haiti is African-inspired. If we go to Haitian culture, a lot of the slaves that were brought over, they were from Africa. So naturally, they have like this huge innate, sense of style that attracts them into African culture, African traditional attire. Mm-hmm. And as far as my prints and my designs, I find that some of my designs can play on some of that. Not so much the prints, but I do love bright colors and I do love a lot of texture. So I do a lot of layering and I do a lot of fabric manipulation. So I can see maybe this is definitely maybe a diluted version, but definitely you can see a little, you can depict a little bit of that African sense and that cultural sense in my design.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, you studied abroad in Italy, in London, and you brought things to your fashion to New York. Now, New York is probably one of the most, should we say the greatest place for fashion, and of course Italy as well. So did you learn anything from being there and studying there and seeing all the different designs that you could work on? Did you?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, in New York, I learned what it is to be in front of a fashion show. And at the time, it was Bryant Park. So I had the opportunity to go to one of my dreams, to go and to participate in New York Fashion Week. So as a young, woman, starting in college, I had the opportunity to go to Bryant Park, meet, all of these fabulous designers. And and when I did my study abroad in Italy, fabric manipulation, fabric textures, printing, really taking my inspiration and my my drive to the next level, really opening my palette and not being, because I'm definitely someone, I'm kind of like a sponge. So wherever I go, I take a little bit with me. And one of the things that I love about Italy is, not only a lot of the fashion was light, very couture. I learned a lot of couture, signature pieces and technical printmaking and, fabrics and the quality. And that was amazing. And when I did my study abroad in London, I definitely learned fashion show production. And that was the key. So it was a little, and it's interesting because it was backwards. I did the shows first, and then I did all of the things after. And as I got older too, and I think that's kind of the way I work. I work backwards. I design first, and then I sketch later.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, you have two professions. One is, of course, as a fashion designer, and the other is as a hairstylist. So which profession are you most passionate about? Is there one that is really more than the other, or do you love both of them?
Well, yes. That's kind of challenging for me because I find without one, they both go hand in hand, and they both complement each other, and that's probably why I was able to make that transition from a hairstylist to a designer. And, do I have a love for both of them or one for more than one? I kind of don't. I think I love them equally the same. Any opportunity that I get to showcase the fashion design side, I definitely take it and I run with it because it's very, far in between that.
Sure.
I have the opportunity as a salon owner to step out and be able to showcase my work.
Now, you're going to participate in the Fashion Week in Delray Beach, Florida. Describe what it's like to be in a show like that where people are looking at your designs and they're critiquing them probably. And if you had a chance to find out what they said about you, would you ask them whether they like it, whether they feel that it's good enough for them, or whether it's trendy or whatever that you think is important? So tell us more about your experience with the fashion show.
So, yes, the experiences with the fashion show in Downtown Delray is absolutely amazing, and I love the opportunity to work alongside other professionals, designers, and merchants. So that alone is just exciting because, I love to work with other creatives. And as far as, the platform that Delray gives me, I think is most humbling and exciting. So I like the fact that I have that platform to showcase my work. And then, I drive at the end of the day in both of my professions. I wait for that final look that the client gives when they look in the mirror and that sense of satisfaction and that thrill and appreciation. And that's all that I do it for. I do all of that, no sleep, running amok for that sense of satisfaction. And the fact that people take the time out to come and view the shows, I'm more than, humble. And yes, I would absolutely love to get the feedback because this way I can apply that to my designs and listen to what the people really want,
Sure.
And it's nice. It's nice. It's almost like they challenge you to kind of be better and do the best that you possibly can. And I would definitely take that.
Well, interestingly enough, Glavidia Alexis, she does two very important and creative things in her life. One is designing fashion, and the other is designing hairstyles that are reflective of the period. Now, last but not least, if you had a chance to challenge adversity as an entrepreneur, what would you want to challenge? I want to hear, because you're so creative, that there must be something else you want to do. Tell our audience about that, and then we'll say goodbye.
So what I would like to challenge is I really want to give back, working with other organizations and giving back to less fortunate and people in need, and it doesn't even have to be an economic level. So one of my goals is to really have a conversation and use fashion as a platform of getting everyone together to reunite and to really just, give back to the people who need it. It's a form of expression. So even if it's someone who doesn't need financial gain or financial help, but they need someone to talk to, or self-esteem, or people who are struggling with mental illness, my goal later is to really find an organization that will match, and so that I can give back to the people that need it.
Well, my guest today has been Glavidia Alexis. She's a very special person, and she's going to participate in the fashion show in Delray Beach. And I want to say it was a pleasure to interview you, and thank you for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan.
My next guest is Helena Lovric. She was originally born in Germany, and her background is Russian and Serbian, and she has grown up traveling and exploring new places. Through her travel experiences, she has grown to love fashion and embracing different styles from around the world. A graduate from Lynn University of Boca Raton, Florida, Helena has studied fashion and international business, which has allowed her to receive a great background in fashion retail industry. I want to welcome to the Susan Brender Show, Helena Lovric.
Thank you.
Now, Helena, let's talk a little bit about that. So you've traveled around the world, and what kinds of experiences have you had in your industry? I mean, you see so many beautiful and gorgeous things, and it must be just overwhelming.
I would definitely say it's overwhelming. Through traveling different countries all around the world and experiencing different markets across the country, you find different designers that are emerging from all over the world, and each one has just such a different uniqueness about their designs. And it definitely is overwhelming when you're trying to choose something for the store.
Yeah. Now, you have a store called Love Rich Boutique. It's a contemporary women's boutique selling the latest fashions and trends and accessories. Now, what are the latest trends and fashions that exist today? Because, it's always like a merry-go-round. In one way, you see stuff, and then all of a sudden it goes away, and then suddenly there it is again. So what are the trends today?
So most definitely, trends are always coming and going, and I always recommend people to keep those classic key pieces in their wardrobe because they will always come back. Definitely right now, one of the main fashion trends, again, is definitely you're going to be seeing the bell sleeve on dresses and tops, as well as, of course, lace and crochet is definitely back at it again. And the culotte pant. So the culotte pant is a wide-legged trouser that kind of fits you at the mid of your calf, has been very popular, as well as everything off the shoulder. I think that would be the number one trend going on right now.
I see. Now, you've always been inspired by fashion, as we said, and you've been inspired based on your travels. So where does your inspiration come from? There must be something special where you felt that you want to do the best. Oh, you want to design the best and you want to get the best for your store.
I would definitely say having lived in Italy for a year when I was studying abroad, definitely opened my eyes to the European world of fashion, which I think is definitely a little bit ahead of us when it comes to trends here, and everything comes from there and moves here. And just by observing people's style in the street, you get the most unbelievable experience in seeing how people are pairing things together and just people watching and, experiencing different museums and buildings and just the colors and the countrysides, and I think that definitely influences myself in designing, as well as, designers all across the world.
Yeah. Now, this seems like a simple question because I know how much this town means to everyone. It's just been a fabulous town, and it's growing and growing. But why did you decide to open up your shop in Delray Beach, Florida?
So I love Delray Beach because I came to Lynn University about 11 years ago and, frequented the Delray Beach Atlantic Avenue quite often for dinners and evenings out, and there's just something so special about Delray, and it has such a uniqueness, and everyone has their own charm and their own creativity when it comes to their stores, and I think that's what makes this such a great town.
Now, everybody knows that the retail business has got so much competition, and it's so difficult to make a living off it, especially when the rates for renting a store happens. You need to really concentrate on trying to get a big retail market. So what sets you aside? What makes you one of the stores that people frequent?
I think the fact that we're kind of a smaller store and very quaint. We give a boutique closet kind of feel when a customer walks in, and providing them one-on-one styling and going through to see what would work best for them and just carrying unique pieces, through traveling and experiencing that. I think we kind of have established our own unique sense of a woman and how, she is dressed every day. And I think we stand out with having that chic kind of sophistication and just bringing something different.
You're going to be part of the fashion show, which starts on January 25th. And how does it take place? Where does it take place? And how does it make you feel?
I love the rush of a fashion show. I've been doing fashion shows ever since I started college 11 years ago, and I still actively pursue them. And there's nothing like an adrenaline rush of getting the models ready backstage and having them get ready to walk the runway. So it's going to start next Wednesday. It's going to be our kickoff show, which is going to be an evening wear fashion show, which actually myself, Yelena Lavrick, will be hosting with Jules Gallardi from Roxy Lulu, and we're really excited about that. And it's going to be in front of the Colony Hotel, and that will start at 6 p.m. We also have another event Thursday evening at El Baccio, which will be local designers giving their runway fashion, as well as a luncheon resort fashion wear show on Friday afternoon at 11:30 at K. And Saturday will be our finale fashion show, which will be Surf and Swim, which will be taking place at Old School Square Park, also starting at 7. And Sunday we'll wrap it up where all the local stores have a little pop-up boutique trunk show at Old School Square Park, where you can shop all the local goods from all the vendors from 1 to 4.
That sounds like such a fabulous event, and I want to encourage all our audience who are in Florida and those who may not be in Florida to keep their eye on coming here and experiencing such a wonderful event. So I want to thank Helena Lovrick for being on the Susan Brender Show, and I look forward to meeting you, Helena, and thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And coming up next is somebody who has a passion for what they do, and they're going to tell you all about it. Her name is Glavidia Alexis, a Haitian descendant from West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, she knew as a child that she was destined for high fashion and the beauty of the arts. Glavidia's mother was an artisan, inspired her to be an artist, finding beauty in unique textures and color patterns. Now, we're going to continue talking about Glavidia, but I want to introduce her to my show. So welcome to the Susan Brender Show, Glavidia Alexis.
Hi, thank you for having me, Susan. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. One of the things that I find very interesting is that when people have come from a different country, in your case it happens to be Haiti, and, interesting enough, Haiti produces a lot of it almost seems like African prints. Now, is there a reason why that is the case? And if so, are you doing that as well?
Yes, I can see why a lot of the fashion in Haiti is African-inspired. If we go to Haitian culture, a lot of the slaves that were brought over, they were from Africa. So naturally, they have like this huge innate, sense of style that attracts them into African culture, African traditional attire. And as far as my prints and my designs, I find that some of my designs can play on some of that. Not so much the prints, but I do love bright colors and I do love a lot of texture. So I do a lot of layering and I do a lot of fabric manipulation. So I can see maybe this is definitely maybe a diluted version, but definitely you can see a little, you can depict a little bit of that African sense and that cultural sense in my design.
Yeah. Now, you studied abroad in Italy, in London, and you brought things to your fashion to New York. Now, New York is probably one of the most, should we say the greatest place for fashion, and of course Italy as well. So did you learn anything from being there and studying there and seeing all the different designs that you could work on?
Yes, absolutely. Actually in New York, I learned what it is to be in front of a fashion show, and at the time it was Bryant Park. So I had the opportunity to go to one of my dreams, to go and to participate in New York Fashion Week. So as a young, woman, starting in college, I had the opportunity to go to Bright Park, meet, all of these fabulous designers. And and when I did my study abroad in Italy, fabric manipulation, fabric textures, printing, really taking my inspiration and my drive to the next level, really opening my palette and not being, because I'm definitely someone, I'm kind of like a sponge. So wherever I go, I take a little bit with me. And one of the things that I love about Italy is, not only a lot of the fashion was light, very couture. I learned a lot of couture, signature pieces and technical printmaking and, fabrics and the quality. And that was amazing. And when I did my study abroad in London, I definitely learned fashion show production. And that was the key. So it was a little, and it's interesting because it was backwards. I did the shows first, and then I did all of the things after. And as I got older too, and I think that that's kind of the way I work. I work backwards. I design first, and then I sketch later.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, you have two professions. One is, of course, as a fashion designer, and the other is as a hairstylist. So which profession are you most passionate about? Is there one that is really more than the other, or do you love both of them?
Well, yes. That's kind of challenging for me because I find without one, they both go hand in hand. And they both complement each other, and that's probably why I was able to make that transition from a hairstylist to a designer. And, do I have a love for both of them or one for more than one? I kind of don't. I think I love them equally the same. And any opportunity that I get to showcase the fashion design side, I definitely take it and I run with it because it's very, far in between that.
Sure.
I have the opportunity as a salon owner to step out and be able to showcase my work.
Now, you're going to participate in the Fashion Week in Delray Beach, Florida. Describe what it's like to be in a show like that where people are looking at your designs and they're critiquing them probably. And if you had a chance to find out what they said about you, would you ask them whether they like it, whether they feel that it's good enough for them, or whether it's trendy or whatever that you think is important? So tell us more about your experience with the fashion show.
So, yes, the experiences with the fashion show in Downtown Delray is absolutely amazing. And I love the opportunity to work alongside other professionals, designers, and merchants. So that alone is just exciting because, I love to work with other creatives. And as far as, the platform that Delray gives me, I think is most humbling and exciting. So I like the fact that I have that platform to showcase my work. And then, I drive at the end of the day in both of my professions. I wait for that final look that the client gives when they look in the mirror and that sense of satisfaction and that thrill and appreciation. And that's all that I do it for. I do all of that, no sleep, running amok for that sense of satisfaction. And the fact that people take the time out to come and view the shows, I'm more than, humble. And, yes, I would absolutely love to get the feedback because this way I can apply that to my designs and listen to what the people really want,
Sure.
And it's nice. It's nice. It's almost like they challenge you to kind of be better and do the best that you possibly can. And I would definitely take that.
Well, interestingly enough, Glavidia Alexis, she does two very important and creative things in her life. One is designing fashion, and the other is designing hairstyles that are reflective of the period. Now, last but not least, if you had a chance to challenge adversity as an entrepreneur, what would you want to challenge? I want to hear, because you're so creative, that there must be something else you want to do. Tell our audience about that, and then we'll say goodbye.
So what I would like to challenge is I really want to give back, working with other organizations and giving back to less fortunate people in need, and it doesn't even have to be an economic level. So one of my goals is to really have a conversation and use fashion as a platform of getting everyone together to reunite and to really just, give back to the people who need it. It's a form of expression. So even if it's someone who doesn't need financial gain or financial help, but they need someone to talk to, or self-esteem, or people who are struggling with mental illness, my goal later is to really find an organization that will match me, and so that I can give back to the people that need it.
Well, my guest today has been Glavidia Alexis. She's a very special person, and she's going to participate in the fashion show in Delray Beach. And I want to say it was a pleasure to interview you, and thank you for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan.
My last guest today is Margaret Dorr. She owns a downtown Delray Beach boutique located in Delray Beach, Florida. Margaret Dorr is a fashion industry veteran with 20 years' experience. She started out in the buyer training program at Bloomingdale's, New York, and quickly rose to senior buyer. But not long after starting her career in retail, she was recruited to the wholesale side of the business and thus began the start of her owning her own store. I want to welcome Margaret to the show, and I want to say to you, Margaret, it's a pleasure to have you. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you've started as a person who was working always in this retail business. It's such a difficult business, and I'm wondering, what made you stick it out?
Well, I did have a pretty lengthy career in New York, which I enjoyed very much. I started out on the buying side, and fairly quickly I got recruited onto the wholesale side, where I spent 20 years. I just found it very exciting, really fun. It's constantly changing, and I love fashion. I've always loved fashion. So it's just kind of in my blood. My parents were small business owners, and, I always wanted to open my own boutique. So, I opened Margot Riviera. It's about 2 years now that I've been open here on Atlantic Avenue. So I'm kind of realizing a dream, that I was working my way up to, opening this with all of my, prior experience.
Right.
So.
Now, designing all this kind of these wonderful garments, it's creative art, isn't it?
I feel it's very creative. I love working in this business. It's a creative outlet for, the product that I do design myself, obviously, but, working with all of the wonderful designers that we work with that are in the boutique, even that's a creative process. And certainly merchandising the store and putting it all together and dressing our clients, it's all a very creative process.
Mm-hmm. Now, once you create a design, do you actually use it to have like specialty items? Is your store full of specialty items, or does it come in from another place like China?
Well, our stuff comes from all over. Part of my background is I worked, with companies overseas, creating product in India, in China, in Bali. So I have resources that come from all over the world, including here in the United States. We get some great product, from right here in our own country.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what do you think is going to happen to the retail industry? Do you think it's going to change in any way? And what are the trends today?
Well, I think the retail business is always changing. I think people love to, shop in boutiques and look for really interesting items. But I think that, we're starting our online boutique. That should launch in a couple weeks. And I think that that's really changed the way that people people shop. But ultimately, we love the boutique experience. We're in a town that's, fairly vacation-y, and people love to kind of walk down, a street like Atlantic Avenue and explore fun boutiques. So, that's definitely part of our strategy. But I think the online is going to, help us reach a much broader customer.
Yeah. Now, do you, is your audience, and I call them an audience, but your clients, if you will, do they come from all over the world virtually? I mean, because I see people in this town, they're from France, they're from Canada.
All over. I think that Delray's become, a really international destination. We have people, obviously we have our local clientele here, and we love working with them, but, we get all of our snowbirds and our seasonal people, and then we're getting more and more people that are vacationing from Europe. Certainly we get a lot of Canadians and South Americans, so it's really very international here.
Now, that said, how did you get involved in the fashion show? Because there are a lot of stores, and when I asked for people to participate in this show, your name was given to me immediately, so there must be some reason for that, huh?
Well, I do volunteer on the event, but interestingly enough, I had heard about the event prior to even opening. So I reached out to Laura Simon in 2015. I was opening in February, and the event was in January, and I said, please, I'd love to participate. So, and that was really when our relationship, started blossoming, because she actually allowed me to participate in Fashion Week even before I opened. But, it's been great for us. This will be our third year in the show. I think it's great exposure for the town, and we're really a very chic destination, and the fact that we have our own Fashion Week speaks volumes to all of the talent here in the town. Right. That we have enough great fashion and great boutiques to put on an event like this that is a full week.
Right. Now, there are places all over the world. I'm speaking about Milan. I'm speaking about Paris. I'm speaking about various other wonderful, incredible cities around the world. Now, does Downtown Delray's fashion show, is it able to compete with the shows that you see on television all about these European and, as I said, Asian and various other fashion shows?
Well, I think it is a different kind of event. The fashion weeks that you're speaking of are really these big, huge brands that are breaking lines, for their hosts, their wholesalers, and they're working with the magazines and their huge retail accounts, working on the future seasons. What we're doing here is a little bit about, this is what's happening in Delray Beach. This is what's happening right now in Delray Beach. You're looking at the latest and greatest of what's in store now that you can actually get up from that show and go and buy, right at that time. If you love a look, you can say, oh, what store is that? I'm going to go buy that right now. So it's really about what's happening right now, and I think that's what makes it a little bit different.
Well, my guest is Margaret Dorr, who has a fashion boutique which is called Margot Riviera, and it's located in downtown Delray Beach on the greatest street in Florida. I call it the greatest street because it really is. Don't you agree, Margot? Yeah. Well, with that said, I want to thank you, Margaret Dorr. For a complete schedule of events, visit their website at downtowndelraybeach.com. If you've got a passion for fashion, be there.
Thank you for listening to The Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.